This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Well, hello, everybody. Good journey to all of you. It is Dan Zer from Coffee with Kenobi. We are at the end of a very long and wonderful day two on the Galactic Starcruiser, the Halcyon. I'm here with several of our dear friends. We've got David Motters, Marianne Chas-Purdue, Tom Gross, Corey Clubb. I think Terry King's going to be swinging by a little bit later. We're going to talk about our experiences. We had breakfast, we had Batuu, we had a lot of missions, and a spectacular finale. And I think it's fair to say, look, if you didn't get a chance to book this thing, unfortunately, there is no more open cruises because, as we know, September 28th to 30th is the last day. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to be spoiling some things. So if you're planning on going on the cruise later and you want to go in fresh, then I would suggest that you pause this. We'll wait for you and come back. But if you're not going to get a chance to be a guest on the Halcyon, then tune in because we've got some great stuff. Tom, let's start with you. We can kind of break it through, however, but maybe point out some highlights, good things about Batuu, the food, the finale, anything. Or also, is it fair for you to finally announce your allegiances? Although I think you kind of alluded to it already. Remember, this is the...
Thank you. Yes. So let's just cut to the chase. I chose to align myself with the First Order. Let me explain to you why I went ahead and did that. My thinking was I wanted to do something that challenged me and would go against what I would normally do. I did not want to play Tom Gross playing a Jedi or a Resistance fighter, so I decided to go out of my comfort zone and try to go bad guy. And I felt like I did a pretty decent job. I broke out of character a lot, but when I was in character, I stuck to my guns. Maybe not my literally, but my stormtroopers, they stuck to their guns. And we had a ton of fun. Dave Motters and I and Chaz, we all were First Order, and we had some good times. So Batuu, my second time in Batuu. That's right, and I guess one thing I will say about this experience is being in Disney World. I felt like it was larger, just like everything, but it felt more expansive. I didn't feel like it was any better or worse. The note is that it's just wider alleys, things like that. It was a ton of fun to scan the crates and collect things. My favorite one, Corey, is when you said, I just collected a porg. And so I was like, okay, well, I got to get the porg. And so I walked over and I collected a porg. And my stuffed animal porg, yeah, it was a ton of fun. But just moving around there, got a chance to eat at Docking Bay 27, I believe. Just 7, Docking Bay 7. Had the ribs, and those are delicious at your request, or not request, but your recommendation, Dan. I don't remember if there's anything else. You just want to stick to Batuu?
For now, sure.
Yeah, okay. Where do we want to go? Where do I toss the ball? All right, so I'm going to toss it over to Corey. Hello, Corey.
Hello. I'm eating my tuba chips right now. The Sublight Lounge. Tuber chips. They're highly recommended. Delicious sauce. This is an incredible full day 2 of the Galactic Starcruiser, and being part of the Alliance, the Resistance, I should say, not the Alliance. I got that mixed up. But it's been a fun, packed day full of exploration. I want to say the immersiveness even went deeper today, because I felt like the travel from the ship down to the planet, I mean, it was all there. I thought, well, how are they going to do this? How are they going to? They'll break it somewhere. Something will happen where you'll feel like we're not necessarily in this world anymore. Nope. The entire time we're getting messages. We're traveling back and forth. It's so totally immersive that way. You can be in character. You can do as much as little as you can still, be a part of everything. I still feel like I did as much as I wanted. Like, I tried to do everything, but, I felt like it was fantastic. We got to do all the things on the Batu, fly the Falcon. We did the Rise of Resistance together, and, man, I don't know. It's just like it all comes together, too. I feel like those pieces you do on Batu do feed up into the storyline that we follow on the ship itself. So that was a brand new experience for me to do that and go, oh yeah, these are some pieces of the puzzle that work together. So not only is it just a throwaway storyline or throwaway characters or missions, it all has to go together, and you're a part of it.
Well said. The cool thing about this experience for me compared to previous journey on the Halcyon is I was even more submerged into the immersiveness of it. I did so many more missions on Batu than I ever would have before. A lot of it prompted by my son Mason, who is, in a way, sort of the target audience for this because he likes games, he likes analyzing things, he just likes having fun and doing adventures. And he kept saying to me, Dad, this is so much fun. Now keep in mind, we're in Florida. It's the middle of June or early June, and it was so hot.
Well, 3 suns.
There are 3 suns on Batu, no kidding, because the humidity was unbelievable, but it didn't affect him one way. And it was just fun watching it through his eyes. And all the things you could analyze and scan and all those puzzles, last time, for some reason, I didn't get it, and I think part of me was like, didn't really worry about it because I didn't think it was crucial. It is crucial. I get it now. And I think somebody had told me about, what's his name? I was gonna.
Fonda?
No, that lives in Germantown Hills.
Andrew and
Yeah.
Michelle. Okay.
That's funny. Andrew and Michelle.
Yes. It's late. So Andrew showed me, hey, it's just a puzzle. You got to fit the pieces in. I'm like, oh, and then Mason's like, Dad, he does it right away. I'm like, well, let me try it, buddy. I think you can do things where you hack into the different transmissions. It was a blast. I was completely enraptured with it. Rise of Resistance and the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run have more cost to them because you actually feel like it's going to have an impact. And just going around and experiencing it, some people are like, you're really going to spend the whole day on Batu? Yeah, with all those missions. In fact, we left before I even felt like I was done doing everything that I could have done. Of course, we had to stop and dock Ondars, and it was fun to go in there with you, Tom, because you'd never been there before. And, there may or may not have been another Legacy lightsaber purchased. I think Mary and I are competing for being the biggest bozos when it comes to that. Hey, and we'll wear it like a badge, won't we? And it was so spectacular. Every part about it was so fun. I just was very much in that moment, and you really do forget about anything. You're just enjoying the Star Wars experience.
Yeah, Dave Motters here. The trip to Batu, and I just kind of want to echo what Tom said and Corey and Dan, that I've done Batu before. I've done Galaxy's Edge before. Been very fortunate to do that. I was talking to Chaz about this as well. In fact, we were crossing paths as we were going through Batu, the whole CWK crew, and how we were just crossing. I just saw all these CWK people throughout. We took over Galaxy's Edge, Batu East, and it's just like Dan said, that I've done these scans. I've walked throughout the whole places. I've hacked different things, but I get now what you said. The level of immersiveness that the Disney Imagineers wanted this to be, I get it now, and it is staggering. I see now how you can enjoy just Galaxy's Edge itself, but now with this added on, it has brought a richness that is just, it's staggering. I mean, literally the word staggering. Dan mentioned a second ago, how much do you want to do? How much do you not want to do? When I crossed paths with Chaz, we're right by the milk stand. I'm looking at the Thai Echelon, and Chaz is just crushing, virtually every, different mission you can do, side mission you can do. It's awesome. And just like Dan said, and Corey and Tom did, but you can do as much as you want to do or not, but not just on Batuu, but up here. I say up here on the Starcruiser. And I never felt overwhelmed or felt like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. But I loved it. I looked around and I saw people dressed in different levels. How much do you want to do it? How much do you not want to do it? I've got my best friend on this trip, and he did as much as he wanted to. He's playing Sabacc after 12 midnight with Mason and Terry. They're over there right now, so he's pretty into it. So I cannot believe how awesome this was. But the excursion to Batuu, that went up so many levels for me after already doing it, and so just so impressed with this whole experience, and so thankful I'm here with all these CWK brothers and sisters. So I'll pass it over to Mary.
Hi, it's Mary Purdue. Can I just say ditto to all the above? I'm not sure I can add anything. But, Chaz and I have been annual pass holders for a lot of years, And we just recently moved to Orlando, and so, we can kind of come over and do whatever we want at just about any time. And we've been coming to Batuu and Galaxy's Edge, Batuu East, as everybody calls it, as far as differentiating between Disney World and Disneyland, since it opened. And this was the first time that we had actually done the missions and played with the Play Disney app. And we separated. Like, he went his way and I went my way, and he was following his path and I was following my path, and I had a little issue with my a lot of issues with my data pad, and thanks to Dan, I knew to go to a cast crew member and get that situation figured out. And once I did, that just enhanced the experience 1,000%. And Steve just Steve just beat Mason's air at Sabacc. Oh my God! But it really made for a great experience. And like David said, we all passed each other so many times. We got together, stopped here, stopped in the shade, talked about this, compared this. Smuggler's Run was down all morning, and Chaz and I just happened to be over there when it came up, and I'm like texting the guys saying, hey, Smuggler's Run is going, it just got back up, and so we were, everybody hopefully that wanted to ride it was able to ride it, and it was just a lot of fun again to be able to do this with our friends, even though we were separated a lot of the day. Even through the whole time that we've been on here, we were separated a lot of times, but we were still together. And so the 95-degree, 3 blazing suns on Batuu East, as hot as it was, as much as we were doing, I don't think we really thought about how hot it was, because we were all so immersed in what we were doing and what we felt like we needed to do, and that we've got to get that next mission done, that it just made the morning and early afternoon just fly by. And then topping it all off was all getting together at Oga's Cantina and just having a great time. Again, sort of separate but together, but just having a great time together.
I'm Chaz Purdue. Also, ditto. Really hard to add anything else. Like David said, I was crushing the quests left and right. I finished the Halcyon missions almost immediately, and then noticed the credit symbol on the map, and just immediately started taking on different missions for the First Order, for the Resistance, for the people of Batuu, and even the smugglers for like Hondo. And I was collecting items that I didn't even know I could collect by scanning all the crates, completing the missions. I got Praetorian Guard armor for just getting schematics for a random smuggler. And
Well done. Is that possible?
Apparently.
Oh gosh.
the man is on a roll tonight.
Come on, Mason.
Got a little dance over there.
Oh, you're going to get the shark too. Yeah.
But also, like David said, when we passed each other by the milk stand, we also realized we had the exact same mission for the First Order of taking this symbol to Oga's Cantina and saying a phrase to get special information. And probably the funniest part of the day is when we did that, all of the bartenders just started screaming at each other, talking about how they're on the secret mission and stop talking about the secret mission. And it was just... It was so much fun, and it really did feel very immersive of the whole thing. And then my last little thing to add on, and what we were talking about with how they were going to do between the Halcyon and Galaxy's Edge, I also thought there was going to be a break in immersion somewhere, but no, it's you get off the ship, you get on a transport, you get off the transport, you're at a port. It actually feels like you got on an airplane and flew to another airport, essentially. The whole thing was great.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
See, my favorite thing about this is that everyone said, I don't know if I can add any more to this. But you all did. You all did, because everything is personalized on the Halcyon, because we all have different choices that we make, different ways that we handle them. Even like some of the things, even when you're aligning with the First Order or the Resistance or whatever, there's still multiple ways to answer for the same side, and it does make an actual impact. And this isn't like, even after I did it, I thought, well, they might be over-exaggerating that impact. They're not. They're absolutely not. And it's great. And I want to say for the record, because he's going to want me to, Mason, well, actually, he probably wouldn't care, but Mason told me earlier today, Dad, I love seeing other people win in Sabacc because I like seeing them happy. And then your friend is bullying, and we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, isn't it, at this point? You know, like, I guess Lieutenant Croy talked about us encouraging the child bully. Now we've got a 6'5" guy bullying a new 10-year-old. So we've got to address this.
We do. And of course, we are absolutely joking. Mason they're all having the best time. So let's switch gears now. Let's talk about, I don't want to talk about the ending of this. Well, we can just come on here. Let's talk about the missions and the finale, and just sort of as we're wrapping up the night, sort of overall things, the impact that it had on you. And then afterwards, I'm going to ask you a pretty big question that I'm curious to hear the answer to.
So I think we've mentioned that the immersion becomes pretty intense as the second day goes along. And once dinner hits, right before and right after dinner, it becomes pretty serious. And it was serious, but in a fun sort of way, of course. But it is one spot to the next spot to the next spot, and you feel like you are in a rush to complete missions before somebody else can do it. And I have to say, my favorite was, as being a part of the First Order, we go down to the engine room with Lieutenant Croy, and the First Order sympathizers on the Halcyon are a pretty small group. Let me tell you, 15, 14 people. And we got individual attention from the lieutenant, sometimes at a very loud level, about 3-4 inches from your nose. And other times he's being very charismatic and keeping you going. But we got to do some teamwork down there to make things work, and actually, opposite. We got to work together to shut things down is what we did. And then we ran up to the bridge and did some things there, and then it was kind of game on, where everyone just sort of starts showing up in the atrium. And I have to say, the highlight for me of the night was, of course, there's a big fight, and we'll probably all have a highlight from that, so I won't talk about the whole thing. But the part that I found to be the coolest is, can I say who the fight was between? We already established spoilers. So Rey and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and this Resistance girl named Rey end up battling up above us on a balcony. And it is really intense, but the part that really caught my eye, and everyone in the crowd was like, whoa! Kylo Ren, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, uses the Force and pulls Rey across, and like she floats over to him, and it was such a cool moment. It was awesome. It was awesome. But that was a big highlight for me, and just, gosh, what a great way to wrap the story. And I'll let someone else talk about that, probably, what happens in that story.
Sure, yeah. I think you're talking about the immersion. It's just like day one, you're kind of getting your bearings, understanding your data pad, getting to see your room. You're kind of blown away by the aesthetics and everything. You get to know some of the storylines, the characters and such. You're like, okay, how's this all going to connect? You start like leaning towards one side or the other and making sure that, you're answering questions correctly, getting all missions done. But day two is like, okay, now that we're upping the ante, we got some heroes of the galaxy that show up. You're following them around. You're literally following them around and doing stuff. For me, it was Chewbacca. We were doing missions for him. It was also Sammy was another part of it too. He was a big part of this storyline. But I liked it so much because like you're not only just seeing them up, like you said, up in the balcony doing things, but like they're in the crowds. They're shaking your hand. They're slapping your back. You're doing a good job. You're like, they're right in the mix with you, and that's something like. It's like you walked into a movie and now you're part of it. So they're counting on you to do a good job or, work as a team. And that's the part of it to me was really awesome that like now these heroes of the galaxy we've all read about are just with us, working with us, and it's so much fun to do that. The part of the finale that I liked the best was that you shouldn't know what was going to happen. You thought all was lost, but then no, someone else would win something. And then it would kind of go back and forth, teeter back and forth, and then, there was a moment where I guess I won't give too much away, but like, okay, so there's a moment where you're looking back and forth up the balcony with the action there, down to the crowd, and in comes the Resistance fighter, posed as a stormtrooper. Sammy whips off his helmet. Did not see that coming. He was a true hero, and he was trying. The whole thing, the storyline was the fact that he was trying to, do a good job and like make sure that he was like becoming a Resistance hero. He wanted that moment, and he got his moment. And you could just see that through line from seeing him up on the bridge for the first time, kind of cowardly, but yet all the way to the end, he's holding a blaster at a stormtrooper's face. And it was super intense, super cool. And I think he was the kind of the hero of the story based on the Starliner itself.
There's the thing. I was so excited to see all of you experience that. The finale is it's stunt work, it's choreography, it's lighting, it's visual effects, it's music, it's timing, it's precision. It's another level. Like, I've heard people who work in theater just talked about the incredible nature of this. And when Rey is dragged across, just like she is in The Last Jedi, the first time I saw it, people erupted. People cried. And the same reaction was tonight. Because it takes your breath away. It's just so unexpected, and their performances are just second to none. The missions today, for me, were great because you get back, and there's all these things to do that were completely changing because of what you did on Batuu. And what's cool is that sometimes, Tom did his thing with the First Order, Corey aligned with the Resistance, I aligned with the Jedi and the Force. Mason and I had the same intent, right, to follow the path of Jedi. And even though we would sometimes do the same stuff, we sometimes would have different little side missions. So even when you're making the same choices, different things might happen depending on what's going on, the order you do things. It's really incredible. The replayability is like another level. And it was pretty neat. The first time I did it, I was on bridge training, and it was supposed to be the captain on the bridge. And then that's when Kylo Ren showed up, and we had to run out of the bridge when Kylo Ren was there, and it was super like, I felt like I was in trouble, like I was marching along really carefully. And then this one, it was different because I had bridge training at a different time. So you're going to have different stories that wrap around the same thing, and that just blows my mind.
Wait, you guys actually saw, like he was on the ship when you were on the bridge?
We saw his ship pulling up. Yeah, and then I was like, what? Oh no! And I remember looking, and Mason, I looked at you like, oh no, Kylo Ren is here, because I didn't expect to see him, because I there were no promos and stuff like that, and this one was a little bit different.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep interrupting here, but when did you as the Resistance know that your legendary heroes are going to be there? Because we didn't know Kylo Ren was coming until we were on the bridge. So when did you guys know that your legendary heroes are going to be there?
So I had no clue. So the first time I had no clue, and Chewbacca kept walking out. I was like, well, that's awesome. There's Chewbacca, And then you heard rumblings about, like, someone says, is Rey here? But I didn't know Rey was going to show up. And all of a sudden, she showed up on the bridge during the big finale. Whereas with this one, we were supposed to be one of the people that helped her move around, sneak around. But here's the big thing. Usually when you have a side mission, you scan the door, you come right in, you do your thing, and you go on to the next mission or whatever you're going to do. Go back to your room, relax for a minute, whatever you're going to do. But this one, we were supposed to be in a lightsaber training pod, and there was a person waiting with like an electronic device, and they said, let me have your name. So I had to give my name, and they said, okay, just wait here. So there's something special that's going to happen, right? And I had known that there was something really cool with Rey at the end, but I'd never experienced it, and I thought, I've got to do it. So it was really important to align with the Force for me. So we walk in there, and it's where you train with the lightsabers. And Terry was there with me too, as was Corey, as was Mary, as was Chaz, as of course was Mason. Oh, you weren't there?
No, not with us.
Oh, yeah, one either. Did I say you? Oh, okay. Well, so then you walk in and everybody sits on opposite sides of the room. There's this massive crate in the middle, and you saw at the end Rey holding that holocron. That was it. So she talked a lot to us about the Force and uniting and believing in ourselves. Really good messages that transcend any fictional story, right? But those stories, as we know, those myths relate to us because we're the ones who tell these stories. We want these ideas and motifs to last. And so then she opens it up. This hologram shows up that I don't know how it happened. And whether you're behind Yoda or in front, he was facing you, no matter what. And it was Frank Oz as Yoda, and he talked for a while. And it was so stunning. Like, I had tears in my eyes. And he talked for a couple of minutes. And I thought, this is the gold. This is what I wanted to see. Now, the first time I was on the ship, I didn't know that happened until I was off of it. And someone said to me, would you, if you only did this once, would you feel cheated if you didn't get to experience that? And my honest answer was, no, I think it's cool that there's so many options for so many people. You can't have the same experience all the time. That was worth it, man. Andrew Harrison was talking, Andrew was in there too, he said that was worth the experience. Then Ray talked to SK620, and then they had to sneak us out one at a time. And that's another thing that's really fun about these missions. Like, it's so great seeing people like trying to have an inconspicuous face, but they always look like they're trying not to smell a fart as they walk through the room. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it looked. And it's so much fun to see that experience, and because people were really into it. You're like really living in that moment. But honestly, on a personal note, I believe that heaven is a place where you're just very happy and you're surrounded by people that you love. And us all going out there, getting our pictures together, seeing each other throughout this experience on either Halcyon or on Batuu, seeing Mason so happy and being so kind with him, and spending all this with all of you. I mean, this is what heaven's going to be like. I mean, honestly, I couldn't think of a more magical group of people to spend it with or a more amazing experience than with all of you. And I'm so, so grateful that this happened. Truly, truly am. It was absolutely phenomenal. We took a bunch of fun pictures. Tom McCoy and I did a bunch of fun little glamour shots. Our lightsaber glamour shot. It was just the absolute best.
So I have to follow you on that. I mean, wow. No, you know, when we talk about, like you said, missions and things like this, I really enjoyed Mary said this, doing things together, being at Olga's Cantina, doing lightsaber training together, but then you realize all the different paths we took and just did it. I didn't know what Tom was going to do. We ended up doing the same things. Corey's Resistance, right? And Dan, you're doing Jedi and all this stuff. And so to realize how this story plays out and how intricate it is, Dan, something you say a lot on the podcast, is this a story that needs to be told? Well, after experiencing it, this is a great story. And I think part of what I was thinking about is like, you know, would you come back and do this again? We've heard about people on this cruise that have done 5 times and have more scheduled. And now I know why. Because you can do so many things. Like when I think about what you experienced, Dan, with Yoda and Rey, I'm like, oh my gosh, what Tom and I experienced was incredible down there. It was just great. And like you see these people and you're interacting with them, and they're, like Tom said, 5 feet in your face, and you're in a movie set like Corey said. You're part of this story, and it's mind-blowing. I enjoyed side missions. I enjoyed the overarching story beyond belief. But yeah, this is incredible. Now I'll say this: during the whole final thing, like I was in tears when Yoda shows up, and I start to tear up, and I started off taking pictures at the very beginning yesterday of the crew members, but I started taking pictures of Dan and Corey and Tom and everybody I could see. I took a picture of Steve with SK. He loves SK620. Why? He's Steve Klink's SK. You know, this is his favorite droid. Okay, SK everywhere. So I'd always get a picture of SK with SK. But a picture of Dan looking up. Oh, there we are. And so, oh, it's 12:30. I thought we were going to 2. Oh, wow. Okay, that was an interruption. But I started taking pictures, and just I got Corey over there. I got Steve behind the First Order Trooper, and just seeing the joy on everybody's face. You know, so instead of taking a picture of Lenka Mock or of the Stormtroopers, I'm taking it of the CWK family, and just seeing the joy in your face, and that is heaven. It really is heaven. And so I'm so glad we did it. I'm so glad I'm a part of it. And once more, I'll hand it over to my sister in the Force.
Thank you, David. I will say that the finale was amazing. And I was one of those people who did sort of sit and watch other people's videos that they posted, you know, because who knew whether or not we were ever going to get to do it. And so of course, people did not post everything. And like the Yoda experience with the Jedi Archives, I never got a wind of that at all. Had no idea that's what we were going into when we went in and did that. That was amazing. So knowing some of what was going to go on with the finale, like I knew Sammy was going to come out as a stormtrooper, and you know, and I knew about the lightsaber that actually extends out, and then she drops it and picks up the other one to fight with. And I knew about the force pull. I had seen the videos of that. I had seen videos of people doing some of the missions around the ship. I had seen videos of the ship. But to say that I had seen the videos means absolutely nothing. Because when you are here and you are experiencing it, those videos are like watching a really bad TV show. And then you get to be immersed in it. And that was what the amazing part was being able to be immersed in it and sort of knowing what was going on, but not really knowing what was truly going on, and being surprised by that. that was the fun part, and being with everybody and watching everybody else's reactions. Like David said, it was fun to watch other people's reactions to different things that were going on. That was a lot of fun.
So, with the freedom to choose is one of the best things on what quest you want to do. So, I did the only logical thing, and I did all of them. I did Resistance. I did for.
Clones of yourself? How do you do this?
I might as well have with the speed that I was doing it. I started off kind of doing Resistance, and then I kind of was like, I'll do First Order too. Kind of switch sides, and then I got missions for Wraith, Guy as manager, and then I was getting the Jedi mission. So I just kind of started doing everything to just see like what the different storylines could be and just what I could build up to, and like what my mom, Dan, Corey, and Terry got to do. I did the Saja holocron, where Rey opens a holocron and Yoda talks. I got to do that because of the Jedi storyline I did. And then I got to be on the bridge for the First Order with David and Tom, which was great. Also, just Lieutenant Corey was one of the best parts of the entire cruise. So just being able to choose your own personal storyline is great. As for the finale, it's nothing crazy that my favorite part was, but I just really liked how they did Kylo moving the chandelier, and then it just kind of falls and hangs the rest of the time. And now it's still even hanging outside right now. Like, they just leave it. Like, just the way they did that and just how it looks like an actual broken, like, fixture still is just really shows how much work they put in for the immersion.
So Terry has just gotten done. Terry and Steve were playing Sabacc with Mason. How did that go, by the way?
Well, I learned a few things about Mason here. I learned a few things here. For one, when it comes to Sabacc, he does not make mistakes, even though it appears that he admits to making mistakes here. I don't know if I can say I'm proud to say this, but I actually won 2 games against him. So, and he taught me well because I really did not know how to play the game before playing him. I don't know if that'll ever happen again because I think he's going to bring his A++ game next time for that.
Talk about your reactions to the day and the finale, and kind of the experience for you overall on the second day.
Okay. Well, my experiences from yesterday, from today, when I entered this, my character name was Ryder Nakai. It's just based off a play on Terry King, of which I think 25 years ago when I started playing computer video games, there is a Star Wars lore of a language that if you take the first if you take the last 2 letters of every word and bring it to the first of the word, Terry becomes Ryder and King becomes Nakai. So when I came in with that character and that storyline here, I had everything after that. When things after we had our first muster, everything changed. After that, because the focus became a little bit less on me, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you here. I enjoyed the finale. I enjoyed the theatrical effects. My wife, she was watching me through the crowd so she can see my reactions of the finale. Let's see here. She. So I could see the smile and the kind of smirk on her face that she knew I was pretty happy here, and I know that this is supposed to be my Star Wars story to kind of go in and just live in in universe here to experience everything, but I don't know how to explain this, but I really loved experiencing your guys' stories. And just in interacting with every one of you, and basically, I kind of forgot about my story, about who I was, what I was trying to accomplish, and I just started watching everybody and how they were progressing, and the types of missions that they were going through, and again, I'm a person that loves to kind of sort of cling to the childhood memories of being very green and inexperienced with life, and not having any limitations on your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and so that's why certain childhood events, that feel good, stick with me very well. But wow, this event here that we did for the past 2 days, it would have been good with me and my wife. I would have been satisfied here, but this made it 10 times better experiencing it with everybody else, because of course my wife is family, but I came in this meeting everybody, and you guys are my extended family. I loved just seeing all of your accomplishments, seeing your reactions to everything that was going on. And again, if there is some way that I can just express my emotions into words, I might be able to do that just a little bit clearer. But yeah, this is definitely one of those types of things here that you can't really. You can't say that for a certain dollar amount, this is what you need to expect out of it. I totally immersed myself in the best that I could, the best that my body would allow me to, and be able to keep up with all the kids. And wow, the kids, the answers, the interactions that they had with Ray and Chewbacca. Again, just being somebody who likes to kind of revisit childhood memories and remember what it's like to be a kid. Seeing these kids having the same interactions that I had when I was a kid, and looking at them and listening to them and saying, hey, they're having life events that they will always remember. Okay, now right as of right now, the Starcruiser is going to be closing at the end of September. But when the end of September comes around, they're gonna have those experiences. Those experiences are going to stick with them for the rest of their life. I'm watching firsthand the new generation of Star Wars fans coming up. I'm seeing that firsthand. And that's such a satisfying feeling and experience just to see what's going on. And I hope those kids continue to live out their dreams. I hope they take it not to the next level, but take it as best as they could to go as far as they can to kind of push the Star Wars universe. And any new sagas, any new experiences, build on it, and just continue to do the stuff that's going to just further George Lucas's vision of family fun and entertainment.
Hello, what a beautiful summit. We'll wrap things up. Because that was really nice. Appreciate all of your thoughts here. I have 2 questions. We'll try to get through it quickly. Here we go. The first question is, and this was a popular thing on the media cruise, a big question people will ask: is this Star Wars enough? And if you had to modify something on this, what would you change?
Oh, I figured that would come my way first. I guess I have been going first here.
You know how this works.
You know what?
You know what I do.
This is... okay, so is this Star Wars enough? Heck yeah. It totally is. I have felt like I've been living in Star Wars Galaxy for the last 2 days. And I've been sitting here thinking about like how does something like this become so good? And the only thing I can come up with, and I mentioned this last May when we were in Anaheim, standing outside the Millennium Falcon, is this is all built and dreamed up by people that are like all of us sitting in the 1980s, maybe some of us late 1970s, watching Star Wars through the eyes of a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. And now we are here, the builders and creators of these stories. And that's how we get things like this. From something being around so long that the people who enjoyed it as children now are making it. So is it Star Wars enough? Yeah. For me, it is totally Star Wars enough.
And is there anything you would change?
I'm trying to think if there's anything I would change. I can't say that there's anything I would, like, during the experience, I don't know that there's anything I felt like I needed to change. I guess, I had so much fun on Batuu. I almost wish there was a little bit more time there. Actually, what I really wanted to do was go there in the morning, do some missions, blah, 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 do all of that, fly back to the ship, get a rest, and then fly back down. That's really what I wanted to do. But it is like a core item of this experience. No, there's nothing I can really think of that I would change.
Was it Star Wars enough? I mean, next best thing would be in a Star Wars movie. That would be the next best thing. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but this is, if you're looking for an experience that's living your childhood dreams out, like Terry said, like, this is it. I think this is the pinnacle of Star Wars experience. What would I change? I'd change my cosplay. I didn't work on that a little bit more. I feel like I've upped my ante. But I want to, if it ever happens again, I'll be ready to go. Excited to do it again and be part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mason. Mason's there joining us. Mason has, again, been playing Sabacc. Had a great time. Even had the people working in the Sublight Lounge playing with him. Is this entire experience Star Wars enough for you? And what would you change if you had to change something?
This experience is 100% Star Wars because it feels like you're in a movie when Rey and Kylo are fighting. And then I would change is I would lower the price at $1,000 or $2,000.
Okay. And would you be able to take the Sabacc table home?
Yes.
Would you want it in your room or in the basement?
It'd have to be in my room.
Have to be in your room, I think so. Is this Star Wars enough? So I think that's a complicated question. Because I feel like I'm in Star Wars because of this experience. But to be honest, growing up, Star Wars to me is Darth Vader, is Luke Skywalker, is Han Solo, is Princess Leia, is R2-D2. It's a lot of these things. Now, that isn't really on the ship. I mean, you get 3PO and R2 very, very briefly, but they're not there. That doesn't bother me completely because this is wonderful. And Star Wars is about family and friends and experiences. The mythology at the end is exquisite and amazing. But I would be disingenuous if I didn't say, look, if this was Darth Vader instead of Kylo Ren, or if it was classic Stormtroopers instead of the First Order Stormtroopers, and if Luke Skywalker and Han and Chewie showed up instead of Rey, I love Rey. I think Rey is one of my favorite characters, period, in any franchise. But for me, of my generation, it would absolutely up the ante for me. Now, I've been on it twice, so it's not going to change my commitment to it. But it is something that I would absolutely consider. And if I could change anything, it would be throwing in, like, every couple of years, keeping it open, keeping this thing open, evangelizing about how amazing it is, and changing the storyline every couple of years. I don't know how you do that. It's easy for me to say because I don't have to take out onto the planet. Those are things I would consider. And again, that all being said, I think this is perfection, and I love it.
Yeah, to piggyback on what you said, Dan, is it Star Wars? And I grew up on the original trilogy. I'm a 1977, 80, and 83 kid. So that if you could change it, yeah. I going through this experience now. You asked if there's one thing we could change, and it would be that. It would be to not only do this, to do it with Kylo and Rey and Chewie and the whole sequel trilogy crew here, where this is based. If they could change it, that's what I would say, is to be able to give us that type of experience, like an original trilogy of this. But an answer, even being an original trilogy person, is this Star Wars? Unbelievably, yes. And I want to steal what Corey said. The only way for this to be more Star Wars is, if George is out here and directing us, and they got lights and faster, more intense, and you're in it because you felt in it. And so yeah, absolutely in Star Wars, here on the Halcyon, down at Batuu. And that would be the one thing to change, is to bring those classic characters back. But beyond that, I don't know how you do that because of what these actors have to know and do. But you know what? I think they can do it. Considering what I've seen, they could do that. And I would love it if they did. I'd love it if they did. And again, to my Star Wars Force sister.
Again, ditto. Yes. Is it Star Wars enough? Yes. It's 100% Star Wars enough. And this is coming from someone who was a young adult, an adult, when the originals came out. And Star Wars was definitely the mythology of our generation. Would it be great if the original trilogy characters could be involved somehow? Absolutely. But as a Star Wars fan who really loves 99.9% of what comes through from all the Star Wars shows, movies, animated shows, yes, it is 100% Star Wars while we're here and we're immersed, and you just put your whole self into it and you will get exactly out of it what you want to get out of it, plus more if you're really open and your mind is open to what's here and what they're giving us. And if I could do it again, I would. And I understand why there is that handful of people that have come back and done it multiple times. And the announcement of the Starcruiser closing was majorly traumatic to a number of people. And now I sort of understood it, but now I really understand it. And yeah, if we could come back and do it 3 or 4 more times, I'd love it. I'm like Mason, drop it a few $1,000s. But how do you do that when you have the quality of the characters and the actors and the crew members and this place? I understand the price. I just wish there was a way that it could keep going. Yeah.
So I'm not the youngest, nor am I the oldest here. I grew up on the Clone Wars and watching the prequel trilogy first. So what got me into Star Wars was the Jedi, the mythology, but also the overarching and the diverging storylines. So for me, this is very much Star Wars enough because it has exactly that. It's not only just Jedi and Sith, it is smugglers, it is the First Order Stormtroopers, it is the captain, the crew, dealing with just everything. It feels like what I've always wanted to feel like, playing the old games, just getting fully immersed as your own character. Something I would change, though, is this is just my own personal preferences. I would like there to be like 1 or 2 more storylines. Mainly, I would love a Sith one, because you can be First Order, you can be Resistance, you can be Smuggler, and you can be Jedi, but there's nothing for the Sith when that was still kind of a plot point in the sequel trilogy, is the Sith. So I feel like having a story...
After this takes place in the time.
True.
Between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
True. Maybe not Sith, but maybe like
they brought up something new that we didn't know, but guess what, right?
Or maybe not Sith, but maybe like a Knights of Ren, something to deal with the dark side a bit more aside from just the First Order. So that's all I would change.
All righty here. Well, do I think this is Star Wars? I 100% do. I'll open up with that, and just I'm totally ecstatic, happy, exhausted, everything that you can feel. That's how I feel here on the last night here. I think after midnight. I can't remember the exact time, but I'm pretty sure it should be after midnight right now. And I still don't want it to end here. Wow. I don't think I would change anything. I really don't think I would change anything. I would like to see one thing added here is that most of us has a dominant path, or had a dominant path that we chose, along with maybe a couple other side paths here as time and effort had allowed us to do. I think I kind of would have liked to see, like, maybe at the end when we had met or did our final mission, the one that actually confirmed our choices and made us truly accepted by either the Saja or by the lieutenant or by Ray or whoever here. I think I'd like to see maybe a physical memento that we could have taken home to kind of remember that from later on, like either a pin or we're in the lightsaber training room here, where we had seen the Saja and then seen Rey and then also seen Yoda at the end. I think it would have been nice to have, like, maybe just either a fragment of a trying to think of the word in here, the what? Yeah, either like a memento? Like a memento, or like a piece of artifact that we could that would have been kind of not personalized to us specifically, but personalized to our path. And also, I think that would have been a pretty neat thing to pass along for anybody who chose to be a scoundrel, or anybody who chose to be associated with the First Order.
All right, so wow, this is great. I didn't know how much we would be able to fill, but we filled a lot. I think we could fill much more, but I think the cast members of the Sublight Lounge are ready to close up. I've been in here late plenty of times, so I've never seen the lights start to come on, so that's kind of interesting. So we will wrap up here. I'm sure we'll have a recap show after we've had a little bit of time to let the dust settle, but thanks again to everybody who's been a part of this. A big, big thank you to MEI and Mouse Fan Travel and Becky Menken and her team for helping to make this happen, fulfilling our Star Wars dreams and experiences. Thank you, Becky, so much. So excited to see what the future holds. This is the first Coffee with Kenobi and Mouse Fan travel experience, but it will not be the last.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is... yes.
Good journey, friend of the Star Wars driving hours Galactic Starcruiser parking lot. I'm here, of course, with Tom, Corey, and Mason. Gentlemen, what an incredible experience. Final thoughts as we head towards our planet and the real world.
Well, when you look at it, it is one amazing adventure, and I feel like what we were talking about beforehand, or Dan, you had kind of give us a heads up on, and that is, I feel like I was there for a week, and that's not a bad thing because we were so busy. We had so much fun along the way. One thing I didn't mention in a previous show was, among some of the favorite things was the lightsaber training, because it was all our friends. Everyone in there was part of our group, and it was just so much fun to watch everyone participating and laughing and having such a good time. And I felt like the Jedi leading it was feeding off of that energy and having so much fun. But in reflection, coming home, I'm just so filled. My cup is filled with Star Wars joy, and I can't say that it would quite be the same if it wasn't with the three of you. So, what a wonderful, wonderful trip.
Yeah, this is an experience I'll probably never forget, in the sense of being a Star Wars fan and just being part of a community of fans themselves. Like we talked about the whole time, it's just like that's what makes this experience, is not only being on the starship, but like being amongst fans, friends, and family, and being part of this whole thing together. That's what makes it more fulfilling. But like you said, it's bittersweet. You know, the fun comes to an end, but it's a well satisfying conclusion. It's like a final dessert after a long meal you've had, and being able just to share it with friends and break bread, like Dan said earlier too. Just like that's what it's all about. I think that's what Star Wars has always been about, is community and fans and family and togetherness. And so this was like the pinnacle of that. Like I said, I'll never forget this experience. It'll go down in history of some of my top experiences as being a Star Wars fan forever.
This is definitely an unforgettable experience, and it makes you like the sequel trilogy a lot more. And I don't think they can abandon this building in any way.
It was, this is a capstone moment. It is better than Celebration Way because it's just more personal, more intimate. You have just concentrated time with people, not only the people that you come with, and you should definitely come with the people that you love spending time with, that you want to get to know better, but you get to know people on the ship, on the experience itself. There were plenty of people, families, kids that we talked to, and you just kind of have a little smile when you see them on the boat, and you feel a little sad when you get off. And I feel like nothing says it better than when we got off the Starcruiser experience today. And I keep using the word ship or boat because it kind of feels like you're on a vessel of some kind. And that's the point. When we got off the ship, I turned around and there was this woman there with her family. And she had tears in her eyes as they're playing this incredible John Williams score as you're getting off the shuttle, which is an elevator. And she just said, "It's just so wonderful." And she had tears running down her face. I feel like that captures everything perfectly. I can't thank, the three of you enough for just helping to make my experience what it was. Everybody on the Starcruiser experience with us, Cato, Liberty, David, Terry, Mary, Chaz, who am I? Andrew, Michelle, all of you made this so special. Christina, of course, and Steve, and oh my gosh, if I'm forgetting your name, I'm so sorry. I'm tired, but blissfully tired. It was an amazing experience. We're driving home, looking at the Skyliner as we head towards our future destinations. We, of course, will recap this more even later on CWK Pour-Over. Look, none of this is possible without all of you supporting Coffee with Kenobi and Becky Mencken and her amazing team at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They really do truly give you the best travel experience. So many things happen because of them, and I'm convinced, as Tom alluded to earlier, in our lightsaber training, everybody in that lightsaber pod, that training experience, was from the Coffee with Kenobi Mouse Fan Travel trip. And I feel like Becky and her team had a hand in that. They just make the magical touches, the little things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, but they think in advance to make that special for you. Naturally, you can go to coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefantravel. Let them know that Coffee with Kenobi sent you, because to be honest, not only do you get the greatest vacation experience, but when you support Mouse Fan Travel, you support me and Coffee with Kenobi. Thank you again so much, everybody, for listening, for tuning in, for enjoying it, for liking, subscribing, following along on our adventures. Thank you so much for all you do. May the stars light your way. Thanks again.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.